What if the most powerful resource on Earth isn't oil anymore? What if the next global superpower won't be decided by armies, nuclear weapons, or even natural resources, but by something far less visible? Algorithms, servers, and the invisible pipelines of data flowing through them every second. Because while most people think artificial intelligence is just a smarter chatbot or a cool new tech trend, behind the scenes, something much bigger is unfolding. Governments are pouring hundreds of billions into AI infrastructure. Tech giants are building data centers the size of small cities, and the race to control the most powerful machines ever built has already begun. But here's the real question. Why? Why are countries treating artificial intelligence like a strategic weapon? Why are companies valued in the trillions racing to dominate it? And why are some economists quietly warning that AI could trigger the largest wealth transfer in modern history? Because if oil fueled the power struggles of the 20th century, AI may control the power struggles of the 21st. And the shocking part? The infrastructure behind this AI revolution may already be concentrating power into the hands of a very small group of companies and governments. The story behind AI's rise is far more complicated than most people realize. And once you see the system behind it, you may never look at technology the same way again. To understand why artificial intelligence has become the most important technological race on Earth, we need to go back a century. Because every era of global power has been built on a single dominant resource. In the 1800s, it was coal. Coal powered the Industrial Revolution. Factories ran on it. Railroads ran on it. Empires expanded because of it. Countries that controlled coal production controlled industry. Sound familiar? Then came the 20th century. Oil replaced coal as the dominant resource. Oil-powered cars. Oil-powered airplanes. Oil-powered global trade. And suddenly, controlling oil meant controlling the global economy. Entire wars were fought over access to it. The Middle East became one of the most strategically important regions on the planet because beneath its deserts sat trillions of dollars worth of oil reserves. Sound familiar? But resources don't stay dominant forever. Eventually a new one emerges. And today, that resource is data. Data powers artificial intelligence. Without massive amounts of data, AI systems simply cannot learn. But data alone isn't enough. You also need enormous computing power. And that's where the modern AI race truly begins. Because training the most advanced AI models requires staggering amounts of energy and hardware. Some estimates suggest that training a single advanced AI model can cost over $100 million in computing resources. Sound familiar? Just like oil refineries once required billions in infrastructure, today's AI refineries are data centers, massive buildings filled with thousands of specialized chips. And the companies that build these systems are quickly becoming the new energy giants of the digital age. But here's where things start getting interesting. Because unlike oil, AI infrastructure is controlled by a very small number of companies that already dominate the global tech economy. And governments are starting to realize something important. Whoever controls AI may control the next phase of global power. Sound familiar? Because we've seen this story before. A new resource emerges, a few powerful players rush to control it, and the global balance of power quietly shifts. But this time, the resource isn't buried underground, it's hidden inside servers, and the race to control it has already begun. But the AI race didn't explode overnight. There was a turning point, a moment when governments and corporations suddenly realized that artificial intelligence wasn't just another technology trend, it was a strategic weapon. That moment came in 2012. A group of researchers demonstrated a new AI system that dramatically outperformed traditional computer vision systems. The technology was called deep learning, and it changed everything. Suddenly machines could recognize images, understand speech, translate languages, predict behavior. The possibilities seemed endless, and within a few years, tech companies began pouring billions into AI research. But there was one problem. Deep learning required something extremely expensive: specialized computer chips, the kind designed specifically to handle massive parallel computations. And the company that dominated this market wasn't a giant government contractor. It wasn't an oil company. It was a semiconductor company few people had heard of at the time. A company whose chips would soon become the backbone of the entire AI industry. Because without these chips, modern AI simply cannot exist. And today, those chips are so powerful, so scarce, and so strategically important that governments are fighting over access to them. The company at the center of this new digital arms race? You won't believe the name behind it. The hidden mechanism behind the AI power race is something most people rarely hear about: compute monopolies. In simple terms, artificial intelligence runs on computing power, and the companies that control the most powerful computing infrastructure hold enormous influence over the future of the technology. Think of it like oil pipelines. If you control the pipelines, you control the flow of energy. In the AI economy, the pipelines are advanced semiconductor chips and massive data centers, and right now, a handful of companies dominate both. For example, the global AI chip market is heavily controlled by a single company whose GPUs power the majority of modern AI models. At times, demand for these chips has been so intense that they sell out months in advance. In 2023 alone, this company's valuation skyrocketed past $1 trillion. That's more than the GDP of many countries. But chips are only part of the equation. Training cutting-edge AI models also requires enormous data centers. These facilities consume staggering amounts of electricity. Some estimates suggest a single hyperscale data center can consume 100 megawatts of power, enough to supply electricity to tens of thousands of homes. And major tech companies are now building hundreds of them. Why? Because training the next generation of AI models requires unimaginable computing resources. Take one example. Training a large AI model can involve processing trillions of data points across thousands of specialized chips. This requires weeks of continuous computation. The cost? Sometimes exceeding $200 million for a single model training run. Now imagine scaling that globally. Governments understand the implications. In 2022, the United States passed the CHIPS and Science Act, allocating roughly $52 billion to boost domestic semiconductor manufacturing. Why? Because policymakers realized that the supply chain for advanced chips was dangerously concentrated. Much of the world's most advanced semiconductor production happens in a single place, Taiwan. And the geopolitical implications of that are enormous. If supply chains were disrupted, the entire AI economy could slow down overnight. But the deeper financial mechanism goes even further, because building AI infrastructure isn't cheap. The largest tech companies are expected to spend over $1 trillion on AI infrastructure over the next decade. Data centers, chips, energy infrastructure, cloud computing networks. This spending is already reshaping financial markets. Investors are pouring money into semiconductor companies, cloud providers, and AI startups. Entire sectors are rising based on the belief that artificial intelligence will become the most valuable technology platform in history. Some analysts estimate the total economic impact of AI could exceed 15 trillion globally over the next 10 to 15 years. But here's the catch. The companies capable of building these systems are extremely limited. The barriers to entry are enormous. Building cutting-edge AI infrastructure requires billions of dollars, world-class engineers, and access to advanced chips. That means the AI revolution may concentrate power rather than distribute it. A handful of companies could end up controlling the most powerful computing infrastructure ever built. And that raises a serious question. What happens when the most valuable economic resource in history is controlled by just a few corporations? Because economic history shows a pattern. When critical resources become concentrated, power follows, and sometimes that concentration leads to instability. Think about the oil crises of the 1970s. A handful of oil-producing countries dramatically influenced global energy prices. The result? Inflation spikes, economic turmoil, political tension. Now imagine a similar scenario, but with AI infrastructure. If computing power becomes the bottleneck of the AI economy, the companies controlling it may become the gatekeepers of innovation itself, and that could reshape the global balance of power, not through military force, but through technology, because whoever controls the most powerful AI systems may control the next phase of economic growth. And history has shown us that when new economic empires rise, the consequences ripple across the entire world. Here's the part most people overlook. The financial systems behind AI are evolving faster than governments can regulate them. The infrastructure is global. The technology moves at digital speed, and the economic stakes are enormous. Unlike oil markets, which evolved over decades, the AI economy is expanding in just a few years. And the amount of capital flowing into this race is staggering. But rapid innovation often comes with hidden risks. When entire industries depend on a handful of companies, systemic vulnerabilities appear, supply chain shocks, technology monopolies, market bubbles. Financial history is filled with moments where powerful new systems created enormous wealth before triggering massive corrections. And today's AI economy may be no different, because the infrastructure behind artificial intelligence is built on enormous capital investment, massive energy consumption, and a highly concentrated supply chain. In other words, it may be operating on borrowed time. The real question isn't whether AI will transform the world. It already is. The question is who will control it? Governments? Corporations? Or a new generation of technological empires? Because if history teaches us anything, it's that the resources that define an era also define the power structures behind it. Coal built industrial empires, oil built energy empires, and now artificial intelligence may be building something entirely new. So the next time you hear someone describe AI as just another technology trend, remember this: behind the algorithms and the hype, there's a global race unfolding, a race worth trillions of dollars, and the outcome could shape the future of economic power for decades. But the real question is this: are we wiser now, or just walking the same path in better suits? If you enjoyed this breakdown of hidden financial systems, share the video and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe for more deep dives into the history of money, power, and the forces shaping our world.